Hello and welcome back. Today, I will be introducing you to a super useful agentic AI tool which you could use to convert any code repo or any knowledge base or essentially any documents into an interactive knowledge graph which you could explore and which you could ask questions to. So if you click on any node of the graph, right, it would give you a beautiful, simple summary in plain English of what that node is all about. Now you can imagine how cool and how useful of a tool this is going to be. So without much ado, let's get right into it. This is the official website of Understand Anything. So I will be linking this in the video description below, so do check that out. And right away you can see that it starts with a firing salvo, right? It says other tools show you a hairball, we teach you the code base. Ouch. Right, then it goes on to tell you what it is all about, how you can use it. The official repo is in github.com/econex -ai /understand anything. Again, this will be linked in the video description below, so do check that out. Right, and if we scroll down, right, other than the usual intro and things like that, it will show how you can install it. Now by default, this is meant for Claude Code, which is the most popular top of the shelf coding tool that many people use. It's immensely popular, but sadly it's also very expensive, right? What I will be using is Gemini, or its newer avatar Aggie, also known as Antigravity CLI. So that's what I will be using, and I'll show you exactly on how you can set this up, because though this document goes on to mention a multi-platform installation right here, right? So it first mentions how you can do it in Claude Code native. You just install the plugin, quite simple, just a couple of lines commands that you need to run. But for others, it's not that simple, and if you have Windows, you need to run it in PowerShell. What it supports is supported platforms are Gemini, Codex, OpenAI, and it mentions anti-gravity. Now, if you're using something other than Gemini or anti-gravity, I'm sure you just need to follow those steps and it will work as they have written it down. If you're using Gemini, right, again, it will work exactly. So if you're using Windows, just use this command. If you're using something like Mac OS or Linux, use this command. So for any other AI platform other than Claude, right, you just follow the instructions that's in this page. However, if you are using Antigravity CLI or Aggie, you will see that these instructions do not work, because though you do have anti-gravity, and though I checked it out with the anti-gravity IDE, it does not work. I'm sure they will be fixing this in some future point of time, but right now it does not work for anti-gravity and anti-gravity CLI, which is also known as Aggie. Okay, and I'll show you how you can set this up. Now, why is this important, right? So if you have been following the AI news on Gemini CLI, you will know that Gemini CLI is going to go out of support by this June 18th, 2026, which essentially means other than enterprises, you cannot use Gemini CLI. You have to use Antigravity CLI or Agile, and you have to migrate everything from Gemini CLI to Agile. So there we are. So we'll be doing it in Antigravity CLI, and I'll show you how to do it. So let's start with this command. So I am using a Windows system and I'll be using the PowerShell. And all I need to do is I just need to copy this command here, fire up my PowerShell, and just run this command. Now I'm not going to do this because I've already installed this. However, when you run this command, what you will be seeing is something like this. So this is a screenshot that I had taken previously, just to show you that this is what it will show. It will ask you which platform do you want your understand anything to be installed in or installed for. So you can see you have Gemini, Codex, OpenAI, OpenClaw, Antigravity, everything, right? Basically, most of the things are covered. And as I mentioned, you will notice you do not have Antigravity CLI specifically mentioned. Okay, so it's supposed to work if you give just for anti-gravity, it's supposed to work. However, in my Windows system, it does not work as of this date, which is June 11th, 2026. In future, I'm sure they will be rectifying this. So till then, if you want to use anti-gravity CLI, because Gemini is going out of support, Gemini CLI is going out of support, just follow the steps that I am doing. So what you need to do is select Gemini. Okay, do not select anti-gravity, select Gemini, and it will say relaunch Gemini, and it's all hunky-dory. And what happens after that? Now I have launched Gemini in my project folder, and straight away you can see this migration message, right? That Gemini CLI will stop serving requests to Google One and unpaired tiers on June 18th. Please migrate to Antigravity CLI, which is a problem, right? Because it does not work with Antigravity CLI. How do you make it work? Well, we will make it work, right? I have got your back covered. However, since we installed this for Gemini, okay, and if you have installed it correctly, if you type something like / understand, it will show you all the commands that come under understand. So it will be available, and that's how you know that the installation works. Right now, how to enable this for AGI or Antigravity CLI? Let's see how to do that. If you are using a Windows system as I am, what you will notice is that as soon as you have installed understand anything, you will have some new folders created under your root users directory. So go to your root users directory. You can go to your username. So in this case, my username is Dell, and this is my root user directory. Under that, you'll see a new file named .agents. You will also see it's not in file, it's a directory. Okay, so a .agents directory, which I'll explain what it is. You'll also have a couple of directories created for the understand tool. So this one, .understand hyphen anything, is the repo. So it's just copying of the repo. And then you have the .understand anything plugin. This is the folder, okay, which links your understand anything tool with your AI agent. So super important that you have this here. Now there's nothing you need to do with either of these two folders, but go back to your .agents folder, and what you'll have there is a folder named skills. The second folder, skills_1, is something that I created, so just ignore it. For you, if you're installing understand anything for the first time in a Windows platform, right, it will just be the skills folder that pertains to the understand anything tools. So whatever skills that understand anything requires would be residing here. What you need to do is you need to go in and just copy this entire thing. Okay, remember, copy the contents of the skill folder. And after copying it, you also need to do one more thing. You just need to rename this folder. Okay, rename it to anything you want. I'm just renaming it to backup. Else, if you happen to use Gemini CLI, since it will still be available for some time till June 18th, and if you try to run understand anything tools, it will show an error, it will show a conflict. So that's why make sure you rename this to skills, some other name essentially other than skills. Now once you've copied all those contents, go back, okay, again to your root user folder, go into your Gemini folder, .gemini. Now by design, okay, whatever skills are available for .gemini should also be available for Antigravity CLI. For some reason, this currently does not work for this particular tool. And what we are doing is we're just helping it along. So just go to your skills folder within .gemini. If you do not have one, create a folder, okay? Or just copy that folder from .agents. Just copy it if you do not have the skills folder. Otherwise, just create a new folder and you just paste your entire contents into this folder. And that's it. You are done. Now, if you launch Antigravity CLI, you will be seeing the commands and the tools associated with understand anything available. Hope that helps and made sense. I have opened my project folder in Visual Code. You can use any IDE that you please there. What you will notice is that I have a couple of folders called Antigravity CLI, which obviously is created when I launch or had launched the Aggie tool or Antigravity CLI within this folder. .understand hyphen anything gets created once you launch understand anything within that project folder. So as you would have guessed, I had already ran it because it takes a long time. Now, this is something I want to get up straight and make it clear. You need to be patient, right? So it would, even for a small project of this size, okay, it would took maybe 30 to 40 minutes for it to compile the graph. So you absolutely need to be patient there. And that's why I had already run this, okay, and I'm just showing you how I set this up. So in your case, okay, you probably will not have Antigravity CLI because if it's the first time you're launching it, it will only be created after that. And .understand anything will also be created after you run the understand anything tool, which I'll show you how to do. The other files, right, are project related or project specific. This is a Java project. It implements the policy design pattern whereby the user can select which phonetics algorithm they want to implement for the service. So it's a REST-based API. It is written in Java. However, this demo is not about what this project is about. Okay, though it's a pretty cool project that I did. Okay. This is about how to use understand anything there. So let's do. So let me close my Copilot chat. Okay, and let me move my video up towards the top so that I can see what I'm doing. Let me open a terminal here. Right. And in this terminal now, if I do, I need to launch my AI agent first. So let me launch, not Gemini. So I'll be launching Antigravity CLI and I'll do agent. Now I'm assuming you have already installed Antigravity CLI. If you have to not, please go ahead. Okay, pause this video, go ahead, install it. It's super simple. Just do a quick Google search. It will show you how you can install Antigravity CLI. Right? And right there, you can see Antigravity CLI has been launched. And to make sure that the understand anything tool is available, I do a / and I just do understand, and you can see all the tools related to understand is available. right? This is available because we copied the skills specifically from the .agents folder in our root user directory to the .gemini folder. Otherwise, this will not be available. So make sure you do the step previous to whatever I'm doing right now. Right? So make sure you complete that, and then you should be seeing this. Now, to initialize this, all you need to do is you just need to run this /understand, which will analyze the code base to produce an interactive knowledge graph, right? This is what it does. In case you are on a LLM wiki, for example, and it's not a code base, and it is based on the Karpathy's LLM wiki knowledge base. If you're interested in how to create a Karpathy pattern LLM wiki knowledge base, do refer to my prior video in which I have demonstrated a way in which you can do that. Okay. So if you're using a wiki, okay, to create this knowledge graph, use this command. Since I'm using just a code base for this demo, okay, I'll just run this command. Now, again, I'm not going to run this because it takes a long time. Okay, all you need to do is you just need to hit enter, okay, and it will create this command. It might ask you a couple of questions. Just go with the flow. Now, after you have been immensely patient, right? So it might take anywhere between 25 to 45 minutes for a small code base to get analyzed by the tool and to produce an interactive knowledge graph. What will happen is, okay, it will give you in the prompt, it will show you that now your knowledge graph is ready. You can access it in this URL. So you just need to click on that. Since I've already created this, right, I can also manually launch it. So the way I manually launch it is I just use this command, understand dashboard, and I hit enter. And now you can see it's generating the dashboard. Okay, let me maximize this. Yeah, give it everything it needs. So I'll say yes. Just go along with the flow. It's quite intuitive. It will keep asking you for the permissions, so this is something that I've noticed in most AI agents, which can be a bit annoying, but then it's a good guardrail to have. And finally, you can see now this dashboard is running. So it gives the link here. You just click it, or in my case, what I'll do is I'll just copy it, because if I click it, it automatically opens in Edge. It just opened it in Chrome. Okay. So I'll just open this in Chrome, and I'll just give this dashboard here, and you can see now, right? It has been launched. Okay. Now you can see a nice graphical view about what this project is all about, what is the project configuration, right? So it just refers the .understand anything .antigravity CLI files. Okay. So this is the project configuration. You could just let me go back here, right? And if I look at the layers here, okay, this is the core phonetic algorithm, and it says, right, this is what it has. So if I click on it, it goes down one layer and it shows me what all it has. So I could just use this hand symbol to scroll. So it says this is what, these are the files inside. It has the sound, that's a refined Java thing. And if I click on that one, it tells me exactly what this file does, okay, what this Java program does. So it says it's an implementation of an upgraded soundx algorithm with character normalization. This is the file. If I wanted, I could open the code. It will open the code in a terminal below, right? And you can see it's in a view mode, so you cannot edit it, but you can see what it's all about, right? And you can see what connections it has. So you can see this is imported, this file is imported by this thing. If I click on this, it will take me to the next thing, which is the soundx refined implementation. And you can see how these modules are interlinked, what calls what. So you have a nice flow going on there. can see all the different things happening. And if you click on the domain, right, you can see it has already created a domain which is phonetic encoding, string similarity, text pre-processing. So it has divided it into 3 different domains based on whatever it could understand of our tiny little eeny weeny project, right? And if you wanted, okay, you could also do something like go to a project tool. So you could start a tool about what this is, okay, and says this project provides a robust framework for phonetic encoding and string similarity analysis. It leverages the strategy design pattern, which is also known as the policy design pattern, to allow dynamic selection of different phonetic algorithms like SoundX for metaphone, colon phonetics, and it has a reference to a README file, right? Which is quite cool. And it just gives the steps there. So the more info, the more documentation, the more things you have in your README document, you would have it picked up in this project too. Me being the lazy bum that I have very minimal information on my project, so I've not created a comprehensive .readme. I think it's essentially empty there, but it has even managed to pick up that this is a project, this is a service based on the strategy or policy pattern, right? And this essentially implements the phonetic algorithms. You could just go on things, so it could just see what you want to see. And if you want, you could do a deep dive, right? So it would say that if you do a deep dive, it would say the phonetic service has a strategy pattern. So to say it has 142 nodes, 238 edges, okay? So the code, this many functions, node type distribution, files, class, okay, complexity distribution. Yeah, there's a 9 complex things going on here, and essentially it gives you the statistics on what this is all about, which is quite cool, right? And you have your clusters. So this is layer based, and I find it to be immensely comprehensive and understandable. And it is a definitely an upgrade from any previous tools that I've seen, okay, which shows your graphical view of nodes and edges, which looks like a kind of hairball, okay, which is alluded to in there in Understand Anything's website. So a pretty cool way of doing things. Let me go back to my IDE here, okay, and let's see what other tools I can use. So Understand Chat is another useful tool. Okay, so what I can do is I can do Understand Chat, and I can ask it something like which classes handle special character replacement, right? So if I'm querying the code base, okay. Yeah, and you can see it's viewing the project metadata search section. It's searching the knowledge graph. It's read the detailed node information. It's viewing the different descriptions based on the knowledge graph. What you'll notice is it is using the knowledge graph, right? Whatever has been created, it is referring the knowledge graph. So it's not going into the code and reiterating and rerunning the analytics. No, that's not what it is doing. So once you have built your knowledge graph, right, it will query using that knowledge graph, which will save you tokens. So your initial build, right, the initial time, the first time you build your knowledge graph, that will cost you some tokens. But subsequent runs or queries on whatever you wanted, that will, the cost will be very nominal, because you already have a knowledge graph built and it refers to that knowledge graph. And as you can see, it has brought back a beautiful answer where it says in the Fontex service code base, special character replacement is handled using static design pattern with the text normalization and pre-processing. That's correct, okay. And it gives me that this is the thing, that this is the class that does that. And this is what it does. Okay, so it gives me different things that it replaces the places and the different Java classes, what it does. Now, if you wanted to, if you added some new code to it, you could auto update it. So you could do something like understand. Now, if you wanted to say you added some new lines of code or you added a new file and you want to update the graph, what you would need to do is you need to run the command / understand space hyphen auto hyphen update. Okay, and what this will do is it will go through the repo and it will figure out what is added, okay, and what, or whether it needs to regenerate the graph. Okay? And it asks me, since I have not added anything, it understood that the graph is up to date since the commit. So would you like to rebuild it, or would you run the LLM graph review, or do nothing? So right now I'll not do anything because this was just to show you that this is also possible. So other useful commands, the C, so just like that, / we look at the dashboard. Yeah, this one is also super useful command, understand hyphen diff. So you can use this. So if you wanted to analyze the difference, JIT differences of pull requests, so you made a change and you made another delta change, and then you wanted to compare this to, you can use this, right? And if you wanted to extract the business image from this, if you want to do a deep explanation, okay, let's try this. Okay, so I'll do deep explain, right, deep dive explanation of, and let me try to do a phonetics algorithm. So I will do I got spelled wrong. Okay, so let us do the, okay, I want a deep dive of this particular algorithm. Right, hope the got the spelling right. Let's see what it brings up. And straight away it says that I locate it in the knowledge graph. I'll see what I can do. I'll search that just involving this to see it's all its incoming and outgoing connections, all the edges pointing to it, and you can see it working, right? You can see it grinding its tools there. Wow, right, and that was quite quick. So it says that this is located in this package and resides in this layer. This layer contains the standalone algorithmic implementation of phonetic encoding. So, right, the purpose of this class is to implement the colon phonetics, originally published in 1969 by Hans Joachim Postel. It is a phonetic algorithm optimized specifically for matching names and words in the German language. So this is a phonetic search that is meant specifically for the German language, and it goes on to give what is its internal structure, the external connections, and you understand now how super useful this tool is there. And we are at the end of this demo. Now, if you're using something other than Antigravity CLI, you would not have to jump through all the hoops that I just did, right? I'm sure in a very near point in future, they will be adding Antigravity CLI support, right? They will be fixing the bugs, but till then, do it this way, okay? If you're using some other AI agentic tool, it will be much easier. But since Google offers a generous amount of tokens, I am sticking to Antigravity CLI and I find it quite useful. So I really hope you enjoyed this session, you learned something from it, and till we meet again, adios.